get Sanadies.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to georgiaconstructioncareers.com and start your future today.
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode of Keeping It Real with Najeh Wilkins. Girls Edition. We're talking about all girls sports. And today we're going to talk about girls lacrosse, biggest girls basketball matchups. Also talk about girls soccer, and then conclude with my top 5, including across the nation, a quintuple double. So we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on in the show. So stay tuned for that. All right, but let's go and get started. I know Craig recapped some of the results from yesterday. I'm just going to go on the girls' side. Some ones that really stood out to me, some of the ones I did as well from this past week. If you guys don't know, it is actually the Elite 8 is kicking off tonight. We will have the full coverage. Go to scoreatl.com for that. That will be posted later tonight, today, and then tomorrow as well. Mostly the boys will be tomorrow. The girls will be tonight mainly. So that's what we got in store on tap at scoreatl.com. But the first one that stood out to me from last week, Cherokee, they won 83-51 against Lambert. 29-point night from Tony Warren lifted them past Lambert. Also had a trio of players in double figures for the Warriors. Madison Moody, she had 14. Riley Simmons added 13 points. And then Lambert, they had Anna Rose Tyre, who had 20 points for them, but a dominant victory for them, to say the least. And then on the girls' side, you had Buford, who's having a phenomenal year. They beat one of their rivals in North Gwinnett 71-24. They had a 57-15 lead at halftime and pretty much cruised the victory after that, going on to the quarterfinals. So big victory for them. Obviously, they're led by Ava Grace Watson, who's having a stellar season. Then North Paulding, who they will be facing tonight, they won 48-37 against a really good Newton team. They had a 10-point lead through the fourth quarter to secure and advance to the quarters. They led 13-12 after the first, and then they had a 5-point lead at halftime and extended the lead to 10 entering the fourth quarter. Pretty much led the entire way for a wire-to-wire victory. Big win for them. And then you had Norcross. And what's so impressive about Norcross is they're doing this without their best player, right? Janiyah Akins had an injury. She's out for the season, so they're winning these games without her presence. If you don't know, she tore it up on our Corker Kell Dave Hunter Basketball Classic. One of the best players, I think, in the state, going to, I believe it's Mercer. But they have been led by Justice Fitzgerald, who had 16 points in the win against North Cobb. They are now 24-5. So just finding other ways to get it done. And Mariah Valerie, she had 13 points for Norcross. So that was some of the big results in 7A. In 6A, North Forsyth, big win against Sequoia. They had a 10-0 run in the third quarter that kind of broke the game open for them. What was interesting in that one, it was a slow start for North Forsyth, right? They did not get their first bucket until about 3 minutes and 55 seconds left in the first period. But after that, they leaned on London Weaver. She got it going for them. 8 first quarter points, and she finished with 19 total in the game. So her presence, her being able to kind of score there, got them going and allowed them to kind of get back in the game when they were struggling early. The Lady Raiders held a slim 5-point lead at halftime, extended to double digits in the third. And what was interesting in that one, too, Sequoia, they made it interesting towards the end. They was able to counter with 6 unanswered points, but ultimately that buzzer beater by Lindsey Perkle ended up putting into double digits heading to the fourth. They had that momentum and cruised the rest of the way. And then Langston Hughes, a big win on the road against Rome, pretty much led the entire way, but a hot start in that game. And as you guys know, basketball is a game of runs, but 10-2, ever since they had that run, they never relinquished it. They led 34-18 at half, so a good start for Hughes. They also made a run in the third quarter as well after they had trimmed it to single digits, and they outscored the Wolves 18-8 in the fourth quarter. So big time right there for them. And then Friday marked the second consecutive game this postseason that they have held their opponents to under 40 points. So that's getting it done. and they are doing some big things. The Panthers are the Lady Panthers. Now, the most interesting one I think from this weekend was River Ridge and New Manchester, right? Really two really great teams going head-to-head. We see how good River Ridge was, but this game was nip and tuck. Like, it went back and forth, so many runs, so many lead changes between both teams. But River Ridge was able to pull it out. I mean, Allie Sweet, she had a phenomenal game. She posted a 20-20 double-double in that one, 22 points, 25 rebounds, and also had 4 assists on Friday night. And Sophia Pearl led them in scoring with 26 points on an efficient shooting night for her. 19 of her points coming from the free throw line. So shout out to her. Big-time performance for them. But, I mean, New Manchester, they were coming. Like, they were exchanging leads. I think at one point New Manchester had a close to a double-digit lead in that game. But they were able to kind of get back into it. River Ridge was. They were able to kind of hold them off towards the end. But, I mean, magnificent performance. And then Michaela Roberson, who ended up winning one of our awards at the Corky Kell Basketball Classic back in December. She finished with 13 points. So that was such a great game. I was following it all night long. And I just remember, it's like, man, I was like surprised that Manchester's giving them such a run, because when you look at River Ridge, they got so many pieces, right? The Finley Parkers, the Allie Sweet, the Sophia Pearl, Michaela Roberson. They've got so many scorers that can come at you, and they play a really good brand and pace of basketball, right? They share it. They can shoot well from three-point range. They can get into certain pockets of the defense. They just do a lot of things well. So I think you've seen that, and they continue to have a strong performance. So that might be the toughest test for River Ridge in this postseason, if I had to say. But they were ready for it, the defending state champion, and they were able to win in overtime 71-56. So shout out to them. That was such a great game between those two teams. And then next, Arabian Mountain gets a 58-46 win against Eagles Landing. Arabian Mountain outscored Eagles Landing 16-6 in the third quarter. So that was big. They were trailing at halftime, tightly contested, but was able to kind of flip it on his head with a 16-6 outscoring in that quarter. Shania Heath, she carried the scoring load offensively, and she also had a buzzer-beating three-point shot at the end of the first quarter. So that definitely helps with momentum. And she surpassed her scoring average of 22 points per game in the contest. She finished with 33 points in a pivotal playoff game, more than half of her team's points. So shout out to her, big-time performance. And then for Eagles Landing, you had Indigo Brown and Jordan Green both finished in double figures. Green had a double-double on the night with 12 points and 10 rebounds. So big-time game for them. Next, Midtown beat GAC. I thought GAC had a really good run. What Coach G was able to do with the team. You can go back and watch that interview on our YouTube channel. Craig talked to their head coach, Coach G. And I thought Mila Benton, what she was able to do this season and, last year wasn't their best year, but they were able to win a region championship, not only just in the season, but also in the playoffs, or in the region tournament, I should say. But, Midtown, it's just a tough game. I know GAC ended up hosting it, but they got a lot of good pieces coming back, right? Aegis Johnson had a really good sophomore year, and when you go back and look at the interview, you'll see Coach G talking very, very highly of Johnson and how excited she is to kind of be able to coach her and what she's able to do in the next few years. So I think that's very intriguing as well. But in that game for Midtown, Haley Wortman was just too much for them. 26 points, 13 rebound performance to end GAC's 3-game winning streak. The Lady Knights got significant contributions on Friday night as 3 other players hit double figures as well. You had Devin Bachman, who scored 14. You had Sinclair Richmond. She had 14. And junior Kate Barton also had double figures, and she grabbed 11 boards and also had 9 assists. So big-time performance for her. So wide victory, big win on the road against GAC. And the next one was a closely knit game. Cartersville against Jefferson, 66-64 victory for Cartersville. Cartersville outlasted Jefferson thanks to Ansley Griffin's 29 points in the Sweet 16. So magnificent performance for her. She tripled her scoring output from the first round of the playoffs against Cambridge. She only netted 9 points in that game. Remember, they had 5 scorer with 9 points, but they were able to keep it going, and Griffin had a big-time game. They leaned on her for scoring duties, and she came through in a big way, and she found her groove early and continued throughout the game. And then for the Lady Hurricanes, 3 scores in double figures, including Griffin. KK Arnold added 12, and Nayla Cramper had 10 points. So shout out to them, and they've won 3 of their last 4 games so far. All right. Then you had Union Grove with a big win against Statesboro. Union Grove advanced after an 18-point third quarter, helped them break the game open and win by double digits. It was nip and tuck, tightly contested in the first half, but Union Grove trailed by 3 at the break. But they were able to outscore them 18-2 run in the third quarter to take full control of the game. So that's getting it done. I'm curious to see what the halftime speech was, but they were able to pull that out. The 18-2 run in the third quarter really broke the game open. And then for the Wolverines, great performance from Jordan Adair. She scored a game-high 28 points in that one. She's also been having a stellar season for Union Grove, and she was Region 2 5A Player of the Year. So that's getting it done as well. And then Mariah Miller and Najeh Smith combined for 26 points for the Lady Wolverines. So big-time performance. We'll talk about the matchup they got here in just a little bit, but big-time win against Statesboro when they struggled a little bit. We're able to get it going in that third quarter with the 18-2 run. So shout out to them. And then you had Chestatee beating Heritage Catoosa. Chestatee, they fought back from an early adversity in that one. They fell behind 16-7 in the first quarter, and then Chestatee battled back through the rest, taking a 24-23 lead into the break, and then they were led by Riley Black's 30 points and 18 rebounds, nearly a 20-20 game. So she stepped up big for them in that victory, able to get back into it after trailing early. And then on this one, this was another really interesting one. Dalton beating Creekside. Creekside have a lot of good players on their team, but their second half performance really helped them in that one and advanced to the quarterfinals. Creekside held the early lead in the first quarter and a narrow 26-25 lead at half. Dalton got their first lead in the game in the third quarter and built a 48-40 lead heading into the fourth. And 22-15 in that period, they outscored them. And then for Dalton, they followed up another 22-point quarter to defeat Creekside. The leader scorer was Grace Ridley. For Dalton, she finished with a double-double, 24 points and 10 rebounds in that one. Two more scorers hit double figures, and Kamara Washington with 14 and Jolly Wingfield with 10. So that matchup, great win for them after kind of struggling to start, but able to kind of come back. And then the last big matchup from this past week was Murray County against Union County, 46-41 victory for Murray County. They were able to get to the quarterfinals for the second consecutive year. Back and forth game between the two teams through the first two quarters. Union County going up 23-20 at halftime, but Murray County was able to fight back into the game. They tied it at 30 by the end of the third, but Union County had a 7-0 run to get back into it to start the fourth, so it was dealing with all the momentum, but Murray County came back with their own run, tying it at 39 with a Callan Ledford three-pointer. With 1:05 left, Ledford gave Murray County the 41-39 lead, bringing down an offensive rebound and laying it in, and they eventually won with all the fouls, 46-41. So that is a recap of the top matchups, in my opinion, from this past week/weekend that happened that gives to today, which is the Elite Eight. Now, got some big-time matchups that you should watch for. I think the first one, River Ridge and Tift County, should be really, really intriguing. We talked about River Ridge. We talked about Ali Sweet is able to do a 20-20 double-double. And we talked about kind of Sophia Pearl being that three-level scorer and kind of a dependent scoring option you can lean on in those big, crucial moments. But, Tift County is really, really good. They have not lost since they have not lost in the month of February. The defense has been on point. They've been leaning on that throughout the postseason. So it's going to be tough. I think if you're River Ridge to kind of come out with a victory, you got to be efficient with your touches, efficient with the ball in your hands, be able to kind of, score efficiently. I think is going to be kind of the name of the game in this one for them. So also for them, you look at Tift County, they have not been able to reach, no team has been able to reach 50 points so far. So that has been very, very crucial for them. And they've been on a hot streak defensively, and they can clamp down on you. So might be a low-scoring game, not something that River Ridge is accustomed to. They just hit 70 points in their last game, but I think that is something to definitely watch out for in this one. But River Ridge, like I said, they have one of the best starting fives out there, and I think they're going to show that. But should be a really interesting one between those two. And then my next one, got to go to Marist against Pope. Marist's only loss all year has been to Mount Parent Christian, a low-scoring game, 38-31. But they have won every game since, right? And I think it was cool, and I'm going to try to get their coach on eventually if I can. Coach Coach Hickson. I talked to her last year, and she said, they had such a young team, and we've seen them, still be able to have a good year. But this year, they just look like a well-oiled machine, and that starts with Kate Harpering. She's been having another great year, top talent, heavily recruited in her class, already has major D1 offers, but she continued to improve and get better. They've been leaning on her as far as their scoring so far this year, but definitely want to talk to her and see where her game has progressed from kind of freshman year to where it is now. But for Pope, got to watch out for Riley Bensman and also Abby Bensman. They've been consistent all year. They were big in their playoff win against South Paulding. They combined for 27 points in that game. They've been the leading scorers all year for Pope. So should be intriguing to see who comes out on top in that one. But I put my money on Marist. They're 26-1 so far this year and have been playing some really, really good basketball. Then the next matchup, you got Wesleyan versus Cross Creek. I think what's interesting in this one is the backcourt matchup. When you look at it, Wesleyan is currently on a 9-game winning streak, except for their last loss against Buford and a 5-point loss. Back and forth game between those two. And then Wesleyan, they got really great players, Brianna Preston, Chastity Wright, and both are really good dynamic scorers. Like Chastity Wright's their point guard, but she's able to facilitate, get into the teeth of the defense, and create opportunities, not only just outside with the perimeter shooters, but also in the post with their big men. So she's been good all year. So is Brianna Preston. She's so tall, but she has such a great handle, can get to certain spots of the defense as well. So they just complement each other really good. And then for Cross Creek, you got two girls averaging 16 points per game so far this year, Michaela Bogans and Tahaj Howes. They both can fill it up and shoot it very efficiently. So far this year, Howes, she's shooting 52% from the field, and Bogans is shooting 46. So shooting very, very efficiently. And then get this, Cross Creek is currently on an 18-game winning streak so far. So I just think that backcourt matchup between Bogans and obviously Wright and then Preston, it should be really intriguing to see who comes out on top. So I think they got some really good teams. Should be a lot of fun. And the next matchup, Veterans versus Langston Hughes. For Langston Hughes, they got 3 players you want to watch. That's Michaela Taylor. She's averaging 13 points a game. Kyla Green's averaging 10.6 points per game. And then Jasmine Baker's averaging 9.3 points per game. So Taylor, she's a double-digit machine. She just stays getting a double-double. She's averaging that so far this year. She has 12 games this season where she has recorded a double-double. So her best game so far this year came against East Paulding. She had 28 points, 18 rebounds, and 4 blocks. So she's been having a stellar season for the Lady Panthers. And then for Veterans, they're seeking to equal their win total from this past season with a win. After a 1-3 start, they were able to turn it around and have been having a successful season. They've won 14 of their last 15 contests. So both teams are streaking. Both teams are playing some of the best basketball. So be interesting to see who comes out on top in this matchup. And then I think the best one out of all of them should have the state buzzing is Union Grove versus Maynard Jackson. Two top teams in Class 5A. They meet again. They played last year in the Elite 8, so this is an Elite 8 rematch. Jaguars eliminated the Wolverines 54-47 in the Elite 8. So 2 really good teams, 2 really great matchups. I think it's going to come down to who can get the stops late. I think it's going to be tightly contested. Both teams have kind of that championship pedigree, and Maynard Jackson's having yet another good season. So I mean, I think it's a marquee matchup. Maynard Jackson's only lost to North Paulding, who's also in the Elite 8, and then Talia Cornish has been their leading scorer so far this year, 14.1 points per game. Kaney Cooper, 11 points per game, and Shakira Gresham has 10.4. And then Union Grove's also having a phenomenal year. In their win against Statesboro, Jordan Brooks dropped 28 points on 10-16 field goals, so a very efficient shooting night for her. And then Nadea Smith had 16 points, and Mariah Miller added 10. So I think it's going to be one of the best matchups in the Elite 8. Union Grove is looking for, kind of their get back, right? Because they knocked them out last year. So 2 teams, only 1 loss between, or 2 teams, only 2 losses between them, 1 loss each. Got the rematch from last year. I mean, there's just so many stakes in this game to get to a Final Four and be able to play on a big stage, whether that's Georgia State or playing in Fort Valley, wherever they may play for the semis. It's just such a big game between both phenomenally run programs, 2 really good teams. I think it's going to be intriguing to see who comes out on top, and I think that's one of the best matchups this week. And then next, you got Buford and North Paulding. Played earlier this year in North Paulding, ended up winning this matchup, 62-49. And as I said before, you got to watch out for Ava Grace Watson. She's already passed 2,000 points in her career. She's going to Ohio State, a major university here. Seems like Ohio State really likes the state. They also recruited Diana Collins from Brookwood to go there as well, another Brookwood and Gwinnett alum. So I think that's really, really intriguing. And right now, Grace Watson is second all-time in scoring for Buford. So that is big time for her. And I think she's going to be one to lean on in this one. And then for North Paulding, second consecutive season reaching 20 wins. Wolfpack have won 7 consecutive games. and they've been fueled in the playoffs by their defense so far. So watch out for Ava Dyer. She's kind of a marksman, person that can really shoot it from deep at an efficient clip. She had 10 3-pointers in a tournament win for them, and she also won tournament MVP on February 19th, right before the postseason kicked off. So she's very, very good. This is one to watch for. She can shoot it at a very, very efficient clip. So that's who you got to watch out for in that one. And then the last one, Grayson versus Norcross. I mean, such a marquee matchup between both teams. Like I said before, unfortunately, Janiyah Atkins is hurt, so she won't be in this game. So they're going to be leaning a lot on Kate Seiden, who can really shoot it from 3. And then Justice Fitzgerald, who's been their leading scorer since Akins has been out. And then Mariah Valerie has also been carrying the load. So Valerie, just look for her to kind of be able to shoot on the outside, get to certain spots. Fitzgerald, she's really good in the post. She's a really good rebounder. I mean, you go back to that game when they played against Baldwin, she was getting a lot of offensive rebounds, putting it back up, getting fouls called. So she's very, very good at that. So she's going to be one to watch as well. And then for Grayson, I think perhaps, man, they might have the best girls basketball player in not only in the state, but maybe even in the country. Danielle Carnegie, she's going to Georgia Tech. She's one of the main reasons why they're a title contender this year. They're undefeated. They're going for the first ever title as well. So I just think what separates her is that she can do it on both ends of the floor. Offensively, playmaking ability, can set up easy baskets for, you know, her teammates. She's going to draw all the defense to her and to try to stop her. So she's going to be able to bring double teams, and that just sets up open alleyways for her teammates. And she's also a 3-level scorer. She can score from deep. She can score in the post. She can score at mid-range, and she can score around the basket. So when you have that, it makes you next level. And then defensively, averaging about 3 to 4 steals a game, very pesky, you know, can do a lot of things well on that side of the ball. So I think when you have things like that, that makes a difference. You got a guard that can play at a high level, score anywhere on the court, and also is willing to kind of play 94 feet. You can run press, you can run different defensive coverages, and she knows how to play them all well. And then Coach Tim Slater, he's also up for Naismith Coach of the Year. So they got that going in their favor. And Carnegie has recorded a quadruple double already this season, and she has surpassed 2,000 career points. So she is box office. She's one you want to see. So if you have nothing to do, definitely go watch Grayson versus Norcross and a marquee game between those two teams. And you know how good Norcross is year in, year out. Always have a good team. Coach Clinton does a really good job with the program. So that's a marquee matchup you want to watch for it as well. That's what I got so far as this segment. Got 2 more things before we go to our first break for the show. Big time commitments. I want to give them a special shout out. First and foremost, going to be Nakia Daniel. She just announced her commitment to Young Harris. Per the post, per Hebron Christian, who was a top contender in 3A, he said, "We're very excited for Nakia on her commitment to play basketball at the next level. She's been leader, just, you know, on the basketball court, rebounding, scoring, things like that. She's been magnificent." So she has announced her official commitment to Young Harris. So special shout out to her. And then the next big commitment from Toombs County girls basketball, another big commitment, Anaya McKinnon. She officially committed, looks like, to East Georgia State College, the Bobcats. She announced that, looks like yesterday at 10:31 p.m. So big time for her as well. She announced her commitment to play on the next level. So that's what I got for us commitments. That's going to conclude this segment, and we will be back on the other side after the break.
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
It don't matter to me, can't sit from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, welcome back. So now time, after we just concluded with the basketball, we got to talk about some lacrosse and big-time matchups this week that you should watch for, that you got to kind of get your pin out for, that should be very, very, very entertaining. So got some big-time matchups on Wednesday. I think Westminster versus Roswell is one I previewed. Primetime matchup between these two. Westminster, they picked up a close win against Chattahoochee the other night. What I like about what they have been showing is the ability to win close games, right, against great competition. That is what matters, you know, winning, and they've been able to do that. Roswell, they just picked up 2 out-of-state wins from girls prep, and Baylor out of Tennessee won both games by an average of 10 goals. So the offense has been playing really well, and also against their opponents to give up the lowest scoring totals, giving up with 4 and 5 goals so far this year. So Roswell off to another blistering start. You know, they want to make up for last year losing in the state championship game against Blessed Trinity. But I think this would be a big quality win on both sides. Westminster shown the ability to win those close games, and then Roswell, you kind of get a notable win on your belt, kind of to show that you're for real. But Westminster 6-0, Roswell is 5-1. So big time games for both teams coming up. I think it's going to be very, very fun to watch. And then the next one, Johns Creek versus South Forsyth. Also a big game, have a lot to do with the rankings. Johns Creek picked up an 8-3 victory against Alpharetta on Monday. It was the lowest scoring total in 2024, but how they get it done? 8-3 win with your defense. So that is very important. You can win in a multitude of ways, and they showed that. They already have a quality win against Lambert in Denmark, and they're looking to pick up another against South Forsyth. And I asked the question last week with South Forsyth, you know, would they be able to kind of hang with Milton, who's kind of the class, the creme de la creme, kind of the standard in girls lacrosse. So they had a big test in that one. They wasn't able to win. Milton ended up winning 16-1. Would have liked it to be a little bit more competitive, but I think nonetheless, you know, South Forsyth, they can prove it with a win like this, right? Johns Creek's one of the top teams in 5A, 6A so far this year. Like I said, they're undefeated at 6-0. So, you know, if they can pick up a win like this, is do a lot for their confidence, I think, for South Forsyth. I ain't going to penalize them too much because, like I said, I know Milton is kind of the standard, you know, one of those top teams. Play a really hard schedule, out-of-state schedule as well. So we'll see what they're able to do in this one, but I think those two are some marquee matches between those two teams. And then next up, got Lassiter and North Paulding. North Paulding's 3-1. I mean 3-0, excuse me. Lassiter's 3-1. So first game in 2 weeks for both teams. For Lassiter, should be well rested. Last time out on the pitch, she had a blowout victory against Sprayberry, 16-0. So had the offense flowing in that one. The goalie was also good. She had a bunch of saves, so she was prime in that game. And then after this opening season loss to Lambert, they've won 3 consecutive games. So we'll be looking to do the same. And then for North Paulding, again, same thing, off of 2 weeks of rest. Prove that they're one of the top teams in 7A. They already have some pretty good wins so far. Wheeler, Mount Pisgah, and Woodstock. So I think it's going to be interesting to see which team can kind of stop the other. Both are high scoring. Both can score it up in bunches. But which team is going to be able to get enough stops in this one to kind of be able to limit the goal scoring, I think, is the biggest question surrounding this matchup between both of them. So we'll see what comes on top. But, again, another big-time matchup, especially with the rankings between these two teams. All right, then the next one I got Pope versus Milton. Again, felt like almost every week I got to include Milton. Again, just the standard. But Pope is having a good year so far. 2-1. Only loss was to number 2 Blessed Trinity, who's the defending state champion. Again, 3 championships in 3 consecutive years. I think they got 5 in the last 6. So, again, they're one of those standards in 5A, 6A. But besides that, they have looked pretty strong. They had a 19-9 loss to Blessed Trinity, but since then, they've been doing really, really well. You want to watch out for Lauren Ebersol. She's averaging 4.5 goals per game. And then Blythe Knowles, she's averaging 2.5 goals per game. So having a really, really great season as well. And obviously Milton kind of flexed their muscle a little bit against South Forsyth. 16-1 emphatic win. And they're having a stellar start to the season. So I think another good early season matchup between both teams, to say the least. So let's see who comes out on top. But that'll be later on in the week. And then the next one, got to go with Cherokee versus Taqua Creek. Cherokee so far this year, 4-0. Top scorer has been Marissa Davis. She's averaging 6 goals per game so far this year. And then Carly Platic, she's averaging 4 goals a game. And Ella Jones is averaging 2.5. So they got 3 girls that can score at a high level. I think it's going to be very, very crucial, very, very important. So Taqua Creek is also 4-0. So it's the out-of-state matchup. But Taqua Creek, they're led by Ashley Cotter. She's averaging 7 goals a game. Yes, it's not a typo. 7 goals a game. She's increased her scoring output in every game so far this year. She even has a performance of having 9 goals in a game in their last game played. So that's going to be a prime player. They're going to have to make sure they make her feel uncomfortable, be physical with her, because once she gets in that little boxing circle, she makes it very, very tough on you. So she's going to be one to watch. I think another big-time, prime-time matchup as well. And then the last one, Fellowship Christian, Wesleyan. Both teams are undefeated at this early part in the year. Fellowship Christian has some marquee wins already on their resume. And then I think they're the class of Class A versus Class A 4A so far. And they've beat every team they faced by double digits so far. So haven't really got tested yet. Wesleyan, I think, will be a good test for them. The offense has been tough to stop all year. They've scored 17 goals in every game played this year. So, again, two really great offenses. Who will come out on top in this marquee matchup between two undefeated teams that can score a lot as well. So, I think it'll be intriguing to see who comes out on top in that one. And as you guys know, that will have a big, big time effect on just the result of the rankings. So, we move on to the next sport. Got to talk about some girls soccer. Rankings just dropped. Again, go to scoretl.com to see that. But I'm going to go through them real quick. So far right now on the girls side, Buford is leading 7-8 at number 1, followed by Harrison, North Gwinnett, West Forsyth, and Lambert. And then Norcross takes the 6th spot, followed by Walton, Peachtree Ridge, North Paulding, and Milton. In Class 6A, Marist is leading right now at number 1, followed by North Atlanta, Pope, Roswell, Lassiter, Alatoona, Sequoia, Johns Creek, St. Pius X, and Alexander. And in Class 5A, you got Jefferson, Great Atlanta Christian, Midtown, McIntosh, Northgate, Northview, Cambridge, Decatur, Northside Columbus, and Chambly. And in Class 4A, Westminster leads it right now, followed by Lovett, North Oconee, Stars Mill, Holly Innocence, Perry, Southeast Whitfield, Trinity Christian, Johnson, Gainesville, which is kind of low for them, and in number 10, Cherokee Bluff. And then in 3A, got Oconee County, Wesleyan, Dawson County, Lumpkin County, Gilmer, Bremen, Savannah Country Day, Richmond Academy, Columbus, and St. Vincent. In Class 2A, the leading team is Fellowship Christian, followed by Model, Savannah Arts, Athens Academy, Ace Charter, Fitzgerald, Worth County, Mount Perrin, Cook, Dodge County. And in Class A Division 1, number 1 is Social Circle, followed by Padilla, Whitefield Academy, Mount Vernon, East Lawrence, Atlanta International, Tallulah Falls, Dade County Commerce, Screven County. And then Class A Division 2, you got Aquinas, followed by Towns County, McIntosh County Academy, Lake Oconee Academy, Portal, Lincoln County, Hawkinsville, Atlanta Classical, Mount Zion Carroll, and then Georgia Military. So those are the rankings. Those are the top teams. Go check them out on scoretl.com. That's the latest. But now we got to talk about some of the top matchups for this week in soccer. Some of these teams are ranked, some of them aren't. But Archer and South Gwinnett, I think, is an intriguing one. Archer comes in at 4-1. South Gwinnett at 5-1. So far, Archer, Alonia, Ziprovoda, she's the leading scorer for them. She's averaging about 2 goals per game. She's only a freshman, so she's getting a lot of really, really good experience for them. And she's currently only in her first year of varsity, so she's been stepping up big. Rachel Sly has a total of 4 goals, and Archer has wins against Mountain View, Appalachia, Duluth, and Newton as well. And then for South Gwinnett, Lauren Ward leads the team with 2.5 goals per match. And you got Emily Sanchez Rodriguez. She's their best playmaker so far this year with a 1.3 assists per game. And then Zanai Johnson has been stout defensively with 9 steals so far this year. So getting it done for her as well. And then South Gwinnett has wins against Appalachia, Winterboro, Discovery, Rockdale County, and Meadow Creek. So big time matchup tonight between those two. Both only have 1 loss each, so should be intriguing. And then the next one, I do think Johnson and Gainesville, one of the probably better teams in the state, a little low ranked, only top 9, but they're going to face against an undefeated team in Seconder. Seconder, they're facing the toughest challenge yet. But Emily Murillo is one to watch. She had a brace in their last game against Winterboro. Rachel Liffland, she's been efficient, scoring 8 goals on 12 shots. So that's getting it done. That's a high percentage for her. So she's been really, really good this season. Tough to stop. Johnson has scored 3 goals or more in every game this season and hasn't played in a week since their 5-1 win against Madison County. But players you want to watch for, Bridget Higgins, she's averaging 2 goals per match and currently making about half the shots she attempts. So that's one to watch there. And then, like I said, they're number 9, which is kind of low for them. Johnson's usually a really, really good team. As we talked to Jason Longshore, and he said year in, year out, that's one of the teams you want to watch for. So we'll see if they get to go up any higher in the next poll that comes out next week, but they've been performing really, really well so far this year. And then next you got Sequoia versus West Forsyth. Sequoia's 5-0 versus West Forsyth, who's also 5-0. So both of these teams are ranked in the poll. Top 10 matchup on the horizon. Like I said, both teams are undefeated. West Forsyth just has a draw so far this year. Sequoia has pitched 3 shutouts so far this year, so the defense has been really strong for them. And they've only conceded 2 goals so far in the 5 games that they've been playing. So I think they get it done defensively, which is crucial as well, because sometimes you don't have the offense going. So that has been crucial for them this year. And then Tara Zagino and Madison Rijecki, they both have 5 goals apiece so far this year for second year. Sequoia has wins against, West Forsyth. Sequoia has wins against Walker, Marietta, North Cobb, Forsyth Central, and Cherokee. And then for West Forsyth, they had a draw in the second game of the year against Cambridge. It's a 3-3 game, but have won 4 games since. Again, been getting it done with their defense in that 4-game stretch, only conceding 2 goals so far. So, once again, 2 really good stout defenses that aren't giving up a lot of goals, but at the same time are scoring a lot of goals. So, I think it's going to be a good chess match between both. Is it going to be low scoring or is it going to be high scoring? I think we'll find that answer out here pretty soon. And then you got Harrison versus Lambert, 2 big-time matchups between these two. Harrison had a thrilling matchup 2 weeks ago against Walton, ended in a double overtime 2-1 victory for the Lady Hoyles. Carly Watt and Ashley Davis both scored in that one. Caroline Shaw had the most goals on the team with 8, and then Sydney Shaw, she had 4 goals as well in that game. And then for Lambert, also had an out-of-state tie with Huntsville this past weekend, suffered their first loss against Jefferson, but they have beaten a really good Norcross team, Berkmar, Dunwoody, Pace Academy, and Grissom. So had some pretty quality wins so far and been doing their thing. So those are my top matchups to watch out for tonight versus soccer. Should be a lot of fun to watch as well. And then a big-time matchup again, you got Pace Academy versus McDonough. That will be at 5:30, so in about another hour or so, that one will be kicking off. So some major players, should be a lot of fun to see who comes out on top in those matchups. But that's going to conclude this segment. We'll take one more quick break before we conclude on the other side.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
All right, welcome back, guys. So before we wrap up the show, going to talk a little bit about a headline I just was able to see. Thought that was pretty cool on 2 sides. One was by Gwinnett Daily Post. Thought this was cool. Mill Creek grad Lauren Dobbs named Athletic Sun Defensive Player of the Week. So she's been getting it done. She's a sophomore at Kennesaw State. And like I said, she was named the Athletic Sun Conference Defensive Player of the Week. She had a team high 15 draw controls, 2 ground balls, and a cause turnover in their win last week against Presbyterian and Longwood. She started all 17 games in 2023, and she earned all Atlantic Sun freshman team honors as well. She had 23 ground balls, 11 cause turnovers, and 29 draw controls in her freshman season. So special shout out to her getting it done on the next level. That was super cool to see as well. And then the next one, one more really big one I seen that I liked. This is from, let's see real quick. It's from Aisha Robs Ramsey on Twitter at Aisha_Stallion4. Congrats to Brooklyn Stallion. She was named Northwest Georgia Tip-Off Club Player of the Year for her high school. So big time honor right there for her, being named Tip-Off Club Player of the Year. She had a magnificent season for the team, getting it done on the court, and being able to perform at a high level. So shout out to her. I thought that was a pretty cool honor to mention as well. But that is all I got for that. We'll go to my top 10, Najeh's top 5, for just this past week, just top performances and kind of biggest storylines in girls sports. So at number 1, Mill Creek, they hired Bryce Ballew as its new head coach. As you guys all know, for Mill Creek, in the first 3 seasons, their coach stepped down, and Bryce Ballew took over. He was their interim coach. And to do that during the season, man, is no easy thing to do. And to be able to do what he did with that program, it was nothing short of spectacular. He led them to the Elite 8 and a 5th place finish in 7A. And like I said, he took over after the coach left for 3 games in a year. And they had a really good super regional. They went 4-1 during that time. So I think they got the right man for the job. Per Gwinnett Daily Post, he said, "We are thrilled to announce that Bryce Ballew has been promoted from interim coach to our new softball coach." Mill Creek head coach Travis Techo said, "Coach Ballew is in his 4th year teaching here at Mill Creek, and we were fortunate to have him step into the interim role last season and lead the girls to a top 5 finish in 7A. Coach Ballew brings a great deal of energy and enthusiasm to the softball field. We look forward to Coach Ballew continuing to share his wisdom and experience as an athlete to help our players grow and succeed on and off the field." So I thought that was pretty cool. They finished 19-15 last year, advanced to Columbus by going 4-1. And like I said, they started off a little bit late. They were 4-6 to start the season, but were able to turn it around and make some noise in the postseason. And then this is what he said, per Gwinnett Daily Post: "I'm just excited to have the opportunity to take over a great program like Mill Creek," said Ballew, a special education teacher. "We have a lot of history, not just with softball, but it includes all the athletic programs. The athletic program and the school itself has a really strong foundation. I'm really excited to get back to work and build on the success we had last year. Some of the most fun I've ever had in my life was spending time out on the field last year and going to work." So there you go. Go to Gwinnett Daily Post to get the latest on that. But that have named their new head coach, who will be Bryce Ballew. So we're interested to see how that program turns out next few seasons. But he did a great job just stepping in as an interim and leading them to an Elite 8 this past year. And then we got to go back to basketball. We got to talk about the top basketball performers from this past week. The girls getting it done on the basketball court. All right, so as we mentioned it earlier, Danielle Carnegie, or Danny25 on Twitter, had a big-time performance against McEachern. She scored 34 points in their win. McEachern, as a team, only finished with 31, so she outscored them as a total as a basketball team. We mentioned how great she is. She also added 16 boards and 3 steals. So like I said, a player that gets it done on both ends of the floor, can fill it up, can lock down your best player on the other side of the court, and also can grab rebounds and play make at a high level and a 3-level score. So can do a little bit of everything. That was her performance this past week. You got Riley back at Chestatee, we mentioned earlier. She finished with 30 points, hauled in 18 rebounds, and dished out 4 assists. So big-time performance for her, and she did her thing for Chestatee in the win this past week. And then Lucy Hood of Rabun County, she led her team with 19 points and 7 assists in their win, hauled in 5 rebounds in a win over Mount Pisgah. So special shout out to her. And then Keandra Acree from Monroe, Albany, she had 28 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in the win over Mari Parsons. So shout out to her. And she also got it done on the defensive side of the ball with 4 steals. So top performance for her in that win. Then you had Kylie Watkins of White County in their win. 13 points, 12 rebounds, 6 steals, 5 assists, and 4 blocks. So a complete performance on both ends of the floor. And the reason why White County, a big accomplishment, I did not mention that, but this is a big headliner. First Elite 8 in 40 years. So she was a big reason why. Kylie Watkins with 13 points, 12 rebounds, 6 steals, 5 assists, and 4 blocks performance. So special shout out to her. And then Ashanti Brown of Bryan County, she finished her game 29 points, 19 rebounds, and 4 steals. A nearly 20-20 game. So that's getting it done. Big special performance for her in her win over Heard County. Then you had Talia Cornish. That's the one I said to mention. That's the one I mentioned earlier that you should watch out for in the game against Union Grove tonight. She finished her game with 26 points, 2 boards, 2 assists to lead her squad to a dominant win over Kell, who's a young team, but got a lot of good experience in this postseason run. should be one to watch for as well. And then I mentioned her, Jordan Air Brooks of Union Grove dropped a game-high 28 points to lead Union Grove to 20th win on the season. Big-time performance from her. Then you had C.J. Wilson of Stockbridge. She finished with 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 steals to help Stockbridge squeeze by Southwest DeKalb in a 63-61 victory. Shout out to her for her performance. Magnificent. Then you had Tiana Thompson of Galloway. She went off over Elbert County. She had 30 points, 6 assists in that game. And as a team, as a total, Elbert County only had 33 points. So she nearly outscored them by herself. So special performance again from her. And then Haley Wortman of Midtown, 26 points, 13 rebounds in that win against GAC. We talked about her earlier. And we also talked about Shania Heath with her 33 points, a game high over Eagles Landing. And then the last one is London Walker of Milton. Pretty much did everything. She nearly got a triple-double in that one. She had 16 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds, and 6 steals. So that is getting it done. Those are the top performers from this past week. This is per highschoolsi.com. So those are top performers this week. Wanted to give those girls a shout-out for their magnificent performances in the Sweet 16. So special shout-out to them as well. And then at number 3, we had a big-time commitment. Mill Creek's Becca Gracer committed to UNC Greensboro this past week. So let's see. She committed this past Sunday to the women's soccer program. She also plays club soccer for Gwinnett Soccer Academy, ECNL 017. Big-time defender, 5'10", as well, and also has a 4.1 GPA. So getting it done on the field and off in academics, and also on the soccer field. She will be playing at UC Greensboro in the next stage of her career. So want to give her a shout out as well. And then sport we don't always cover, but cheerleading. Some big time news here out of Johns Creek. They welcome their new head coaches in. Chloe Grimes and Valerie Moyer are the new cheerleading head coaches for their program. Some cool news here. Coach Grimes graduated from Johns Creek High School in 2015 before attending UGA and has enjoyed being back at the program and being part of the community. While this is the first experience with cheerleading, Coach Grimes is eager to learn about the sport and support the team both as students and as athletes. She seeks to create a positive environment where each girl feels welcome and can become the best version of themselves. And then for Coach Valerie Moyer, she's thrilled to be back leading Johns Creek cheerleading program. She's been in education for 11 years, currently serves as an assistant administrator. Coach Moyer is Miami, Florida native and coached for 15 years before moving to Johns Creek in 2018. She has experience in recreational, high school, and all-star cheerleading. Under her guidance, her teams have achieved numerous successes, including state titles, 5 consecutive national titles. So getting some major experience coming over. I think they're going to be a more competitive team. One in Valerie Moore, who has a lot of experience in the field. She's already won national titles and won state titles. And then Chloe Grimes is kind of new, but I think she's going to get some good tutelage and good training under Valerie Moyer as well. So that's what we got there. And then last but not least, to conclude the show, my top 5, Kiana Christmas post quintuple double, becoming 10th player ever to record such a feat. So go to Bleacher Report, go check that out. She's 10th player ever to accomplish the feat, quintuple double. She's from Fonda Fultonville, senior forward. Kiana Christmas recorded a feat in December 2023. Really seen throughout the history of college basketball or high school basketball. 50-50 win against Notre Dame Bishop Gibbons. She posted 11 points, 20 rebounds, 11 assists, and 10 steals and 10 blocks. So go give that a view. Go give that article a read. That's all I got for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys soon. Craig will be back tomorrow for his show, Drive for the GHSA state title. Thanks for tuning in, and congrats to all the girls for their magnificent performances, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.